Right now, somewhere in Tokyo, a company is paying its employees to do nothing. Not a break, not a nap, nothing. In the middle of the workday on purpose, written into their culture as an actual rule. Meanwhile, you just finished a productive day, and your brain feels coated and static. You did everything right. Every gap filled. The commute to the ad break. You never once let yourself get bored. And still, foggy reactive. A little duller than you were a year ago. Here's the part that should bother you. The busier you have kept your brain, the slower it has gotten, not despite your effort. Because of it, the people running some of the most disciplined, highest performing culture on earth figured this out decades ago. They built 4 specific practices, each with an actual name, around protecting empty time, not wasting it, guarding it the way you'd guard money. And the 4th one, the one almost nobody outside Japan even has a word for, might be the exact reason you feel sharp for an hour and useless for the rest of the day. Stay to the end. Once you understand it, doing nothing on purpose will stop looking like laziness and start looking like the most disciplined thing you do all day. And before we get there, hold on to one number: 0. 0 notifications, 0 tasks. 0 input for a set stretch of every day. Right now, that probably sounds impossible for you. By the end of this video, it will sound obvious. Concept number 1, the meaningful pause. Think about the last time there was silence, real silence, and you didn't reach for your phone. Can't remember? That's the point. We have trained ourselves to treat every gap as an emergency. The 3 seconds before someone answers a question, the pause in a conversation, the walk from your car to the door. We fill it instantly, automatically. Like the silence itself is dangerous. In Japan, there is a concept called ma, xwo, which loosely translates to the space between things, but that translation undersells it. Ma is not empty space. Ma is meaningful space. In traditional Japanese art architecture and conversation, the gap is not something to eliminate. It is the thing that gives everything else its shape. A pause in a conversation is not awkward. It is where the meaning settles. Here is what almost nobody tells you. Constant stimulation keeps your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, focus, and self-control, in a state of continuous, low-grade processing. It never fully powers down. And a brain that never powers down cannot reset. It just accumulates fatigue hour after hour, disguised as productivity. The practice is simple. Almost embarrassingly so, leave the gap unfilled. Don't reach for your phone in the elevator. Let the pause in the conversation sit for 1 extra second before you fill it. Walk from the car to the door without a podcast. It will feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is not a warning sign. It is withdrawal. Think of it like sound and music. A song with no silence between the notes is not music. It is noise. The silence is not the absence of the song. It is part of the song. Your day works the same way. Without every moment blends into the next, and nothing gets its own shape with it. Even an ordinary Tuesday starts to feel like it has rhythm again. You start noticing the difference almost immediately. Conversations feel less rushed. Decisions feel less reactive. And the small gaps of your day stop feeling like problems you need to solve. But there is a second, stranger practice, one that looks even more useless from the outside. And it might be the most important one on this list. Concept number 2, vacant gazing. There is an actual, official day in Japan created by Japan Post, of all organizations, called National Boredom Day. On this day, people are encouraged to do one specific thing: stare into space, blankly for a set amount of time. No phone, no goal, not meditation, not mindfulness, just gazing, vacantly. Boredom is the word for that state. And in a culture famous for discipline and productivity, it is treated not as a failure, but as a maintenance ritual, as necessary as sleep. Here's the misconception almost everyone carries, that a blank mind is a wasted mind, that if you are not actively thinking about something, you are not thinking at all. The opposite is true. A neuroscientist named Marcus Rekla discovered something in the early 2000s that reshaped how we understand rest. When your brain is not focused on an external task, it does not go quiet. A specific network, called the default mode network, switches on. This is the network responsible for memory consolidation, for connecting distant ideas, for the kind of insight that feels like it comes out of nowhere in the shower or on a walk. It is the network your brain uses to make sense of everything you have taken in, and it switches off the instant you pick up your phone. Every time you fill a gap with stimulation, you are not resting your brain. You are interrupting the exact process your brain uses to process, store and connect what you already know. You are staying busy at the cost of ever becoming sharp. The practice, 5 to 10 minutes once a day, doing nothing, not scrolling mindlessly. That is not the same thing. And your brain knows the difference. Actual stillness. A window, a ceiling, a wall. Notice how many of your best ideas have arrived nowhere near your desk, in the shower, on a walk staring out a train window. That is not a coincidence, and it is not luck. That is the default mode network doing, in silence. The work you assumed only happened when you were trying. The irony is that the harder you try to force an idea, the less likely that network is to switch on at all. But even this has a deeper cousin, something built directly into how Japanese people structure their entire day. Concept number 3, the beauty of blank space. Open your calendar right now. Look at it honestly. Is there a single block of time with nothing in it? Not buffer time for catching up on emails? Not a gap you've already mentally assigned to something, but genuinely, deliberately empty? For most people, the answer is no, and that absence has a cost you have probably never been able to name. Yohaku no bai, YHS, translates to the beauty of blank space, originally a principle from Japanese ink painting, where the unpainted areas of the canvas are considered just as intentional, just as important as the brush strokes themselves. A painting that fills every inch is considered unfinished, even amateurish. The blank space is what lets the eye rest, and what makes the painted parts mean something. Japanese scheduling, in disciplined companies and disciplined individuals, borrows this principle directly. Empty time is not treated as inefficiency. It is treated as design. This connects to something called attention restoration theory, developed by psychologists Rachel and Stephen Kaplan. Their research showed that focused attention is not an infinite resource. It depletes. Like a muscle, the more you use it, and it does not recover by switching to a different task. It recovers through unstructured, undemanding time, a walk without a destination, a gap with no purpose attached to it. Most people schedule their day like a painting with no blank space left. Every hour filled, every gap optimized, and then they wonder why, by 3 p.m., their focus feels like static. The practice, block time on your calendar for nothing, not flex time for overflow tasks. An actual protected, empty block, even 15 minutes, that you defend the same way you defend a meeting. Here is the test. If someone asked to book a meeting in that slot, would you say no? If the honest answer is no, it was never really protected. It was just unclaimed space, waiting for the next demand to fill it. Real Yuhaku no Bi means treating the blank space itself as the appointment. It is a small shift, but it changes how the rest of your day feels. The hours around that empty block stop feeling like a race against a wall that's always approaching. And this brings us to the practice underneath all the others, the one that ties everything together, and the one almost nobody outside Japan has a real word for. Concept number 4, just sitting. Most people who have tried meditation have tried it with a technique attached. Count your breaths. Focus on a candle. Repeat a word. There's always a task hiding inside the rest. Shikantaza. Wonder height. Da 40 mine half. Oh half. It comes from Zen Buddhist practice, and it translates upperly to just sitting, not sitting in order to achieve calm, not sitting in order to clear your mind, just sitting. No goal, no technique, no destination you are trying to reach. This sounds almost too simple to matter, but there is a reason it is considered, by the people who practice it seriously, one of the most difficult disciplines to sustain, harder, in some ways, than guided meditation with a technique to hold on to. Because most of us are uncomfortable with true stillness. We need something, a breath count mantra, a background podcast, to feel safe inside silence. Shikantaza removes all of it. Researchers studying long-term meditators using EEG scans have found something specific happens during this kind of unstructured stillness, an increase in alpha and theta wave activity, patterns associated with a relaxed, alert state, alongside reduced activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. In plain terms, the nervous system downshifts out of low-grade alert mode, the state most of us live in constantly without realizing it. Scrolling and multitasking and half listening our way through the day. The practice, a few minutes once a day, sitting with nothing to do and nothing to hold on to. No app, no breath count, no goal, just sitting. The first few times, it will feel almost unbearable. Your mind will reach for a phone that isn't there. A thought will feel urgent that isn't, and you'll want to call it done after 90 seconds. That resistance is the entire point. It is the same resistance a muscle feels the first time it is asked to hold weight it has never held before. It fades. What replaces it is something most people haven't felt in years, a mind that is quiet without needing to be distracted into quiet. Notice something now. Mabukatoyo haku no bai. Shikantaza. 4 different words, 4 different contexts, but they are not 4 separate habits. They are the same discipline, practiced in 4 different rooms of your life. Every one of these practices is protecting the same thing, empty space, kept empty on purpose, not because emptiness feels good, though eventually it does, but because emptiness is where your brain does the work that stimulation interrupts. It is where the default mode network consolidates what you've learned. It is where depleted attention restores itself. It is where the nervous system steps down from constant alert. Here is the reframe worth sitting with. Sharpness is not the accumulation of more input. Sharpness is the space left over to process what you already have. You do not become sharper by adding more. You become sharper by protecting what is already there from being buried under everything new. The man on the subway, staring at the window. He is not wasting his morning. He is doing the one thing almost no one around him is willing to do anymore. Nothing. On purpose. And remember the number from the beginning. 0. 0 notifications, 0 tasks, 0 input. For a set stretch of your day. Not because emptiness is trendy, and not because a video told you to try it, but because every sharp mind you have ever admired had to have somewhere to put down what it was carrying, even for a few minutes, in order to pick the next thing up clearly. That's what the man paid to stare at nothing understands, and what most of us forgot the day we got our first smartphone. So here's a question worth asking yourself before you close this video and reach for the next thing. When was the last time you let your mind do nothing? Not out of exhaustion, but on purpose? If you noticed yourself reaching for your phone even once during this video, that's not a coincidence. That's the exact habit we just talked about. Let me know in the comments, which of these 4 have you already lost? And which one are you willing to try tomorrow? Start with just one, not all 4 tomorrow morning. That is the same trap as filling every gap, just dressed up as self-improvement. Pick the one that made you pause while watching this, and protect it for a week before you add another. Ma in one conversation, bulkheado for 10 minutes after lunch, an empty block on Thursday, or 5 minutes of just sitting before bed. Small and defended, beats ambitious and abandoned by Wednesday. If this helped you see something differently, subscribe. There's more where this came from.